This video is if you or your child struggle with asthma or breathing issues and you're looking for help. If you're tired of being on an inhaler, if you're tired of using a nebulizer every time your kiddo gets sick, I want to share with you some different ways to look at breathing and help your body heal from the inside. We love being able to help the body express its true healing ability and get back on track. Now, my name is Dr. Ty. I own Whole Family Chiropractic, and right away you might be wondering, why is a chiropractor talking about breathing? It actually started back in 2004 when I was looking into chiropractic school. I toured the school here in Minnesota, and a teacher was talking about a teenage boy with asthma. And he put up this boy's x-ray, and he said, "Now, when you look here, do you see this part of his spine?" And he showed how it was out of alignment. He next explained that in this boy's case, when his brain was sending messages down the spinal cord, and those nerves were trying to take the message out to the lungs, because the spine was off, it was impacting that nerve flow. As a result, the boy struggled for a really long time with asthma. Once he started getting adjusted, the teacher explained that, hey, he got off his inhaler and his asthma just seemed to go away. And I thought, whoa, how could that be? That sounds pretty amazing. And really, what it came down to is simply looking at what the lungs need to be able to breathe normally and function well. So the teacher explained the brain is sending messages that go down the spinal cord and control everything in the body. Specifically, the lungs get their nerve supply from this part of the spine right here. So if this part of the spine is off, it can be stressing these nerves and causing the lungs to not be able to work the way they are designed. So over the years since I graduated in 2007, I've been fortunate enough to be able to help lots of kiddos, lots of adults get off their inhalers, get off their medications, be able to breathe fully and clearly, and not have to worry about when the next time might come when breathing is going to be a struggle. I'll give an example here. This was a man who also been on inhaler for a long time, and he said in the winter times he'll use his inhaler every day, at least once a day. When we did his evaluation, these are scans that we do in our office that measure all those nerve channels that I just showed you. So if those nerve channels are clear and getting good messages out to the body, we see white bars. If there's any stress, we see green, blue, or even red if there's mild, moderate, or severe stress on those nerves. So in his case, you can see this clump of nerves right here, T1, T2, T3. Guess what that overlaps with? What I just showed you, right in this region here, the nerves going directly to the lungs. We started adjusting him, and his follow-up scans here, you can see those nerves cleared out really well. His brain was able to start getting good messages down to his lungs, and at a certain point after he had been coming for a while, he was looking back. He goes, "Dr. Ty, you know what? It's been a year since I've had to use my inhaler." So not only did he get through the easy months, but he got through winter without having to use his inhaler at all, simply by opening up those nerve channels. So that's number one. The number one thing that we look for if you or your kiddo are struggling is how well the brain can get messages out to the lungs. The second thing we look for is how well can your brain communicate with your breathing muscles, such as the diaphragm. So for example, every time you breathe, the diaphragm expands to help the body bring in a full breath of air, and then it contracts, or it helps push out all the air you just breathed in. So the diaphragm actually is controlled by this nerve in the neck. The nerve is called the phrenic nerve, and it comes from C3, C4, C5, these different nerve channels in the neck. And in this gentleman's case, he actually had stress on those nerves as well. So he was getting hit from both ends, the nerves to his lungs, and then the nerves that were controlling the breathing muscles of his body. So as those cleared out, again on the follow-up, you can see now his brain was able to coordinate those muscles to allow the rib cage to expand fully and contract fully to let air move more easily in and out. So that's scenario number 2, is if there's stress on the nerves controlling the breathing muscles. Scenario number 3, I'll show a little girl's example here, is if the body is feeling overwhelmed by stress. So this little 8-year-old girl was dealing with some anxiety at the time, and what would happen is if she felt stressed, Specifically, if she didn't know where her mom was, that her breathing would shut down and it'd get really tight and be really difficult for her to breathe. So very scary for her and for mom when they didn't know what was going on. Now, in her case, when we did her first scan, again, we're looking for the white bars, we see sort of this global stress pattern. There's stress throughout her body, which was telling me that there was tension built up throughout her whole system. So her body was already filled with stress. And now, if a worry came in, such as being at the store and looking around and not seeing your mom, that panic can sort of ensue. And if stress is already built up and a little stress is added, it's easy to really tighten up and tip over the edge, and suddenly, in her case, that her breathing really shut down. Now, the good news, as you can see here, this scan was a few months later, and we were able to really clear things out. There's still a little red, still some work to do, but what that allowed her body to do was to be in a much calmer state. So now, if she looked around and didn't know where her mom was, she would say, oh, that's okay, I'm going to get through this. And that was one of the quickest changes they noticed. Even within the first couple weeks of care, mom noticed she was a lot calmer, a lot more grounded, and by the end of the first month, suddenly those breathing episodes were disappearing, and now it's been quite a while, and she's been doing great. So if you are curious for yourself or your kiddo, number one, how well is your brain talking to your lungs? Number two, how well is your brain talking to those breathing muscles? And number three, how well is your body handling stress overall? And that's what we love to help you with. That's what we specialize in our office with our gentle neurological chiropractic. So if you want to see what your scans look like or your kiddo scans look like, reach out, and we're happy to help and see what we can do to get you back on track.